Hello, I'm Gavin, and I have experience with the things you should not do as a father, and experience with the things you should do as a father. But I'll start with the things you should not do. So, number one, a father should not leave the wife and children. That's number one. Don't do that. Don't leave the wife and children. I'd say that the father should protect and love the wife and the children. That would be good. So, what's some examples? So, you might think that I mean a father should not disappear forever, and that's what I mean. Yeah, right. Some people do that, and that means you're not being a father if you just disappear. And you can disappear for periods of time. So, some people make babies and then disappear forever. That's not a very good father. And then there's other people who disappear for a shorter period of time, like maybe a year. Maybe they go into the military and they got to leave. So that's not being a very good father. Going off into some other country and going and fighting people in another country. That's not a very good father. Some will leave for a week or two for a business trip. It's not a very good father. Some will go. They'll leave for all kinds of reasons. Maybe it's recreation, or maybe they are drinking that alcohol all the time or doing some mind-altering substance, and so maybe their body is there, but their mind isn't there, and so the father isn't really there. That's another way that a father is not there. So these are ways that a father is not there. And then when that happens, the child itself can grow up into someone who makes babies and has not witnessed what anyone who has modeled being a good father, and so they may be an absent father as well. So this absent father is something that happens. There's other examples as well. The people who go and make a lot of babies with a lot of women, they're going to end up being absent fathers too. The men who make babies and those babies get aborted as a means of birth control, they're not being very good fathers. And I mean, even birth control in general doesn't really help a man be a good father. So there's all these ways in which a man can abandon their child, and I think we're all guilty. Every man, every father is guilty. And if I go through and list all the ways that a father can make mistakes, every father, there's no such thing as a perfect father. And so that's the absent father, and that happens. We all do it to one degree or another. And so, even when the father's there, is the father protecting the child, right? Is the father loving and protecting, the mother and the children? And yeah, sometimes that means that the father has to be someone who's not filled with fear and is willing and able to love and protect, the mother and the children. That means a father should have some amount of strength and courage. And so, when a child, what it really means is the father needs to be having conversations with the mother and with the children. And so the mother will be providing information to the father about the father's blind spots, areas that can be improved, and so the father has to have the courage to be able to receive that kind of feedback about their own lack and have the self-control to be able to receive that. I know there's fathers who might receive that feedback and then go beat the mother. You know, the mother might end up with bruises and broken bones. That's not a very good father. Some fathers actually break the bones and cause bruises on the children. I know that one. And so the father has to be someone who can receive a message that hurts. So a father needs to be able to experience pain, and in the face of that pain, be able to have self-control, have courage, have love, and not become possessed by fear and anger. I've experienced with that one. And so a good father is going to be there. It would be nice if the father's there every day with the mother and with the children, and is having conversations with the mother and children every day, and is trying to encourage and learn and experience pain, and allowing that pain to facilitate growth within the father himself, and attempting to do the husbandry of facilitating that growth, the good fruit, and the mother and the children. And so it means that you have to, there's some things you probably should not say. There's some things you probably should not do. You know, you should not tell a child that they are retarded and that they're stupid, that they are weak. These are some powerful spells. And I know there are fathers who say things like that, including myself. I've said things like that to my shame. And I think a father needs to be able to experience shame and to admit to their mistakes, and to have the discipline to grow, to repent, to change, and become better. Or else you'll have these intergenerational curses where shitty fathers raise shitty fathers forever. And this is, you end up in a world like we have. So don't tell your kids these kinds of things. You also should not tell them things like, I love your stepsister more than I love you. Your stepsister is so much better than you and your brother. That would be something you don't tell one of your children. You don't go around telling your children that you love one of the children more than all the other children. You don't have a favorite child that you just blatantly tell all the other children that that's your favorite child. You try to understand your children's strengths and weaknesses, and you try to help make them aware of their strengths and weaknesses, and you try to see the value in their strengths and weaknesses, and you encourage them, and you let them know that you love them, strengths and weaknesses and all. Every strength comes with a weakness. If you see a weakness in your child, know that there's a strength. Find it. Point it out. Don't just become hyper-focused on the weakness and just and discourage them. Look for the strength behind the weakness if all you see is the weakness. And if all you see is the strength in a child, you need to look for that weakness. Every single one of us have gifts. We have strengths. We have weaknesses. None of us are great and perfect at everything. And there's always trade-offs. And so a good father will see each person, the wife and the child everyone's strengths and weaknesses and will help them in their weaknesses such that they can navigate the world and recognize the things that they can work on, and will know their own strengths and will have a sense of self-worth. A good father will listen. A good father will want to know what their wife and children are thinking and struggling with. And if the load is heavy, a good father will come in and pick up some of that load, not all of it, because a good father wants these people to be strong, but a good father does not want them to be broken. And so a good father will come in and be interested in knowing what the other person is wrestling with. A good father will support if needed and will not take on all the load and do all the work, but will come in and care for the person, who they are, and what they're wrestling with, what they're thinking about, and what they're feeling. And so a good father does not say things like, I don't follow you on Facebook. I don't listen to the YouTube videos that you share with me. I don't care what you think. I don't care how you feel. Good fathers don't say that kind of thing. There's another thing a good father doesn't tell a child that I'm just going to raise an adult. I'm not going to be your friend, and once you turn 13 years old, you're on your own. I'm going to raise you to be an adult so that when you're 13, I don't have to do anything. A good father is going to be a good father as long as the father is alive. The good father will be there being a good father. It's not something where you can just abandon the child after they hit a certain age. It's not like you kick them out of a house at a certain age and that you just are done with them. And so a good father wants to know and love the person, the child, the wife. And what else does a good father do and not do? A good father does not tell their wife and children to shut up during a football game or during a movie or when the radio's on. All of these other strangers who are coming through the radio or written in the newspaper or book or on a screen or coming through speakers. A good father prioritizes their children over all of that other stuff. And I've made mistakes. We all do. A good father is willing to sacrifice what they want. A good father may want all kinds of things, and then because of their love for their children and for their wife, they will take the thing that they want and put it on hold, set it aside, and they will want to know and to support their wife and their children as best as they can. What does a good father do when the father is invited? Does the good father invite? How does the good father respond to invitation? I can tell you it all just boils down to what matters most in the world. And so a good father is not totally consumed by self-centeredness, in which the mind of the father is ignoring the wife and the children. And I don't mean just tracking where they've been and what they're doing and their pictures on Facebook. I mean caring for what they're thinking and what they're feeling, what their plans are, and how their plans went. A good father will be there to listen to someone, listen to their children, listen to their wife. A good father will want to know the wife and the children's plans and will ask, how may I help? Is there anything I can do to help? A good father might say, I've thought about your plans and I have some ideas that you might want to consider. And a good father, if the wife and the children don't want to consider the father's thoughts, a good father will not take that personally and will say, please let me know if there's anything I can do to help. And I'd love to know what it's like to do the things you plan to do. I would like to be there along the way, just getting reports on how it's going. I'd like to get reports about how it went. I'd like to know if you're bumping up against any blockers that are preventing you from doing the things that you have planned to do. I think the biggest reason why fathers fail to be a good father is because they do not worship the Father and Creator of all. They do not know the Father and Creator of all, and they do not worship the Father and Creator of all, because they are their own king, and they have not made anyone else king. Because when you make the Father and Creator of all your king, and you're serious about that, when you practice doing that, you yourself become a better father. You yourself become a better king. And so to the extent that you can know and serve the best father and the best king, you will become the best father and the best king. And we are all called, all men, we are all called in that direction. And so I guess I'll leave with I'm thankful. I'm thankful for my father. My father did a lot of things that were good that other fathers failed to do. And he's not perfect, and none of us are. And maybe some of these things that I've talked about, I hope that you see that I am talking about myself, and I hope that you see that I'm talking about all fathers, including my own, because none of us are perfect. And so, I love you. I love you, Father in heaven. I love you, Father, my personal father, and I love all of you men out there. And our Father in heaven, he loves you too. He loves you so much. And he knows that you don't have to continue doing it the way you saw it done. because that's all we ever see is we see imperfect models. We're raised by imperfect people who are being an imperfect model, and we're being called to become a better model, a better representation of the ideal father and the ideal king, who's willing to serve the lowest, who can be trusted with little. And, it's not easy, it's not obvious. It requires that we grow in strength, that we grow in discernment, the ability to see, the ability to receive pain and discomfort, to experience pain and discomfort, and then grow closer to the Father and the King, the ideal Father and the ideal King, to become a better representation of the ideal Father and the ideal King. And we're all called into this, all of us men. This is our purpose. And it's the highest purpose. There's no greater purpose. And it's not like the Father expects us to be a perfect representation right now. That's ridiculous. So enjoy the process. Enjoy the path. It's a difficult path. It's a meaningful path. And there is a yoke. There is a burden. There is a load to carry. But it's not too heavy. And your capacity to carry will grow, can increase, no matter where you're at. So, I love you, all of you men out there. I love you, my Father, and I love you, my Father on earth and my Father in heaven. I hope y'all are encouraged. Have a good one. God bless.